What's up, Facebook? We are live right now. I apologize coming in a little bit late today, but nonetheless, still here. Kind of wait for some people to pop in here. Hope everyone's doing all right. Kind of headed into our second week of quarantine and kind of isolation, physical distancing. It's definitely kind of heading into some more challenges this week. And, I was actually just on a meeting with the rest of our recovery folks and, just kind of talking about how we're headed into this second week here and that it is going to be a little bit challenging for folks, for the majority of us. And, just some really good reminders as to practice self-care the best that we can. It's really important to do what we can during this time, right? There's so much that is just out of all of our control right now. And, again, we've been talking about this every day. There's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of fear. And, this is going to be going on a little bit longer than any of us expected, I'm sure. So, it's just really crucial that, we stay on top of the things that are good for us, the things that are healthy for us, maintaining our connections with people. And, again, that's what's the most important, is staying true to our mission as Recovery, and being here for you guys and continuing to show up as that support. And we'll continue to be on here as often as we can and continue to connect with you guys and continue to remind you that, you're not alone. And, I speak for myself, but I think I can speak for the Recovery crew as well. We still want to be here as, living, breathing examples of what recovery looks like. It's just, it's so important that we all maintain some kind of hope through this. And I know that that's really challenging, right? It's really hard to see light at the end of the tunnel sometimes, especially when we're really just entering this thing. It's so scary. But I personally do have hope. Some days it wavers. But then I find these moments where it comes back and I'm like, you know what? It's going to be okay. And, I have to focus on the things that I can control within my own little realm here. But also all the while maintaining connection with you guys. And that's what we're here for. So I don't even know what day it is that we are into our readings here, but a few days in. And, I've been reading you guys some readings out of Outrageous Openness here. That's a book by Tasha Silver. And, she is an English literature major, but, also fell in love with yogic philosophy along the way. And she has a lot of people that write into her and she responds. And so that's what each one of these chapters is about. So they're a couple pages long, and it's kind of her just sharing her story, but also ways to move through those situations that these people are writing into her about. So you'll hear her as the author herself talking quite a lot about divine order and the divine source, and that I always start off by giving people a little bit of background of what is written in the book. But, again, I ask you guys to have an open mind, and, we fully support anything that you guys believe in. And so I ask you to just be open-minded. If there's something in here that doesn't connect with you, it's not necessarily meant to offend you, but this is just the idea that is in this book. But most certainly take it in any way that it means to you, So I'm just hoping that we can all have an open mind to do that. And so for her, Tasha writes that divine order says that the perfect solution to any problem is already selected if you allow yourself to be guided. So I'm asking that we can all allow ourselves to be guided today. Is there something out there that can guide us through our challenges throughout the rest of today? Divine source says there's a natural universal abundance that knows how to meet our every needs. She also talks about this force of love that's out there. I know without doubt that a force of love exists that can guide, help, and interact with each of us in the most intimate and practical way, no matter what the conditions. I think I like hanging on to that idea more so than anything. The force of love. Love conquers all, and maybe that's a cliche saying, but it truly does in so many different ways. But again, it's you take it in your mind and your heart, however that means to you. I will support any of that. This isn't meant to be offensive. This is more about me being able to connect with you guys through a reading, and readings that have really helped me, and just trying to keep the focus on the solution, right? That's what this is about. Keeping our focus on the solution. So if you guys can stay present in that mindset with me today, that would be awesome. So today's reading is called When You Know the One, Anything Can Come, the Divine Unisource. And she always starts off with a quote. This is from an Indian poet, saint. It says, "Why worry? What is meant for you is always meant to find you." The idea of divine source seized my life for good reason. Though I was born with an anxious nature, I knew my panic never helped anything. In fact, my whole adrenal system was eventually collapsing like a house of cards from the stress. Then about 20 years ago, I discovered a gem from the 1940s, The Game of Life and How to Play It, by Florence Scovel Shinn. From this old-fashioned, quirky book, I absorbed all I could about divine order and source. While divine order says the perfect whatever is always picked, and you will be guided to it if you align yourself, divine source reminds that everything emanates from the one. If you know how to keep your vibration high and attuned to the ultimate origin of all, whatever is needed can always occur. You learn to get out of the way, follow the signs, and invite the highest outcome. You stop manipulating results. Synchronicities become rampant. It's like flying above the turbulence in a plane where the air is clear and open, or drinking water from a pristine river rather than begging for it door to door. You start to trust where the flow is going and how to move with it. It may sound crazy, but if you think of the divine as your ultimate protection, the source for your work, finances, and all the needs, then even the economy becomes irrelevant. You lift your vibration above the turbulence of the apparent economic reality into the hands of that from which all things come. No person, place, or thing is seen as your foundation. Only God. Then the universe can use anything it wishes to meet your needs. You're no longer limited to what your conditioned mind thinks possible. Last summer, I had an eerie, insistent feeling of suspension. I felt lost and rudderless in a way that is most unusual for me. So I asked the divine to send a sign. Please just show me what I need to understand right now to have faith, I prayed. Then, on a sweltering August afternoon, I was visiting Calistoga, a small California spa town. Suddenly, I noticed a long, striped gray snake wiggling down the street next to me. Not your usual traveling companion. Tourists wandered by me, oblivious. It was as if she was only there for me. We moved together for a block. Each time I stopped, so did she. I felt a deep longing to touch her, but she slipped quickly into a crack in a fence when I reached down. 2 days later, I was back home in Oakland when a beautiful Asian man with piercing eyes approached. I was shocked to see a large python the color of emerald slithering around his arm. Would you like to pet her? He asked with a mesmerizing smile. I stood for a long while, letting her slink across my shoulders as she flicked her tiny forked tongue. Since the snake is a scorpionic symbol of death, rebirth, and the Shakti herself, I felt instantly calmed and reassured. My answer had arrived twice. If I just let go and allowed the old skin to shed, rebirth was coming. I would be unavoidably guided to the next chapter at the right time. I was driving across the Bay Bridge yesterday, thinking about all this, when a huge white truck began driving beside me. If I sped up, he sped up. If I slowed down, so did he. I started to wonder what the heck was going on until I glanced over and saw the truck's name, Unisource, and the massive logo, Experience the Power of One. The driver smiled at me Apropos of absolutely nothing, and waved a tattooed arm. Okay then, not even subtle. So again, that was today's reading, and I just encourage you guys to take whatever is in there about the divine order and put a spin on it in your own mind that works for you. Again, I kind of like to see it as this big giant force of love out there, and I just love all these little ideas in here. The universe can use anything it wishes to meet your needs. You're no longer limited to what your conditioned mind thinks possible. And I think sometimes it's very easy to limit ourselves in our minds. Sometimes we start to doubt ourselves, or we get an idea or a goal or a dream, right? If we think about it in recovery terms, sometimes some of us think about recovery really early on, and it's, sometimes we get those doubts in their mind, like, how am I ever going to be able to do this? It's a little daunting at times. It's a little overwhelming at times. But again, if we're open to it, like there's these universal signs that come along as we move through our lives, and sometimes they show up in different ways that we've never expected, I love the idea of, that metaphor about, so a snake that sheds its skin, that can be us too. We can look at that in a way of rebirth. If I just let go and allowed the old skin to shed, rebirth was coming. I would be unavoidably guided to the next chapter at the right time. And, there are those moments that we all get in, we all have these different phases in our lives. And some are really exciting. Some are really fruitful, and we benefit a lot from those. But, there are times where there are times where those moments in life are really challenging and really trying. And, we, sometimes we're like, when is this going to end? Especially in a season of right now, it's like, when is this going to end? We talk about all the uncertainty all the time. There's new things being released every hour of every day, it almost seems like, so there's a lot of that uncertainty, but again, just being vulnerable and just slowing down and just taking it one moment at a time, and knowing that whatever chapter in our lives is happening right now, that we're going to be guided to the next thing when that thing is ready and meant to be here. And that might not be in our time frame, I've found in my own experience that, often things that I think should happen in the time frame that happens in my head is really not how things go. The universe kind of shows up in mysterious ways sometimes, and often that's through other people. It's through new experiences. It's through tragedies. It's through great joy. It just seems that that's how life kind of goes, Sorry, I'm feeling kind of all over the place today, but, I still want to be able to be here to just show up for you guys. And, even going back to that initial quote, why worry? What is meant for you is always meant to find you. And that's just it, right? If I think about examples in my own life, there are little things that have found me in life, and it almost seems, looking back in hindsight, that it was the right time. And back then, I didn't realize that. I didn't know what was going to happen. Have any of you ever taken on a brand new job? Have any of you ever gotten a job offer that was something that you were not seeking out? That was kind of what happened to me, I guess. Back in October, I had a job offer that wasn't even something I was out seeking. But what ended up happening is for me, I prayed about it a lot, and I consulted with a lot of important people in my life, and I waited for that guidance to show up. For once, I didn't just jump right on it, or I didn't just quickly decide no. I slowed down, and I sought out help and guidance, and, somehow, some way, the universe just continued to line things up to make that happen. And, that was one of those joyous moments in my life, and it's completely changed my life. Here we are almost at the end of March, and you know, I'm still with recovery. I would have never have expected that, you know, last October, or even a little bit before that into September. You know, I would have never expected that that's this direction that the universe or whatever is out there. I would have never have expected that an opportunity like that would have came along. And I'm just so grateful for that today. But you know, for me, it was like one of those learning moments where I had to slow down and kind of think about that decision in my head. Whereas before, I was very quick to impulsively act on anything and everything, and that wasn't always safe, you know. Looks like Betsy Lochner is enjoying this book. She just ordered 3 more of them. Thank you so very much. Betsy, you're welcome. This is not even my book. Yana had actually let me borrow this book months ago, and I've selfishly been hanging on to it. But I've really been enjoying it as well. And, you know, just all these little tiny life lessons in this book, right? So, again, that's what I said I wanted to focus on today, is not so much the words and not so much when we talk about, you know, God or the universe or divine order. Again, that means different things to different people, and different things work for different people, and that's totally fine, you know. So, but it's more about focusing on the underlying message that's underneath it. And I feel like there's a lot of those in this particular one today. You know, if I invite that divine order in slowly but surely, when I continue to practice that, I learn to get out of my own way. You learn to get out of the way, follow the signs, and invite the highest outcome. You stop manipulating results. Synchronicities become rampant. It's like flying above the turbulence in a plane where the air is clear and opened, or drinking water from a pristine river rather than begging for it door to door. You start to trust where the flow is going and how to move with it. And that's what this is about, right? Is inviting this greater thing out there, this greater energy, inviting that into our lives. And, you know, some of that stuff has come true for me, you know. How many of us try to manipulate results or try to control these little situations because in our minds we think that it has to work out this one particular way. And so I have to do everything that I can to make this situation work out this way and this way only. Because everything else outside of that situation isn't right in my mind. And when it's not going to go that way, I'm very fearful of that, right? I think a lot of us live our lives that way for a long time. You know, I know that it was that way in active addiction too. You know, manipulating my life so that I could continue to carry on doing the things that I wanted to do, whether they were healthy or not. But what I've learned is to finally start to slow down a little bit. You know, it's hard, it's a practice, but I'm working on it. You know, I've learned to slow down a little bit and stop trying to manipulate those results. You know, I think we've been talking about this almost every single day. It just maybe sounds a little bit different each day, or I'm using different words, but, you know, slowing down in what's going on right now. Stop trying to manipulate the outcome, because all of this that's going on right now is greater than me, is greater than you, and greater than every single one of us. It's happening whether we want it to or not. Yes, it's an inconvenience. Yes, it's really difficult. It's really hard to watch. Yes, it's scary, you know. But I don't have control over it. I don't. You know, what I have control over is getting through my each day. Is getting through each day and maintaining that sobriety and maintaining that recovery. You know, I think one of the things that us at Recovery and you guys as well, you know, one of the things that we do really well is just showing that recovery is possible, but more so fun, right? If any of you have ever been a part of any hike or a workout, or even just come to the center and spend time with us, playing with the dogs or hanging out in our front room there, you know, you guys see the fun that we can all have. There's a lot of laughter, there's a lot of jokes, there's a lot of physical activity a lot of the times. But we enjoy it, right? You know? And so it's really hard for us all to not be there right now. You know, it's really challenging for us to not be there right now too. You know, we were all just talking about that on a work conference call. You know, this is the one job that we have that we actually want to be at. And it's really hard not to be there, you know? Because when I think about being there, I think about fun. I think about all the things that we get to go do today, right? Those are choices that we have today as a result of sobriety. and they're just so great. And I think that it's easy for all of us to get in that mind space right now of like, well, now I'm home and I'm stuck in my pajamas for 3 days. Like, how am I having any fun in that? I've sat on 20 Zoom calls and I've sat through 20 meetings, like it's starting to get a little redundant, and that's why I was sharing, like, it's a little bit challenging. Here we go into week 2. Is it going to be a repeat of last week? I'm so bored. I'm not going to have any fun. And that can be really challenging. This is a time for us to get creative. We talk about things that you guys can do every single day. Pull out your art supplies, pull out your guitar, pull out your musical instrument, pull out those books that are collecting dust on a shelf. Pick up the phone and actually dial somebody so you can hear a voice on the other end. I know so many of us are used to texting. I'm very guilty of that as well. It's bake a cake, bake cookies, drop them off on your neighbor's porch and go away so that you're maintaining your 6 feet, but you're doing something nice for somebody else. I don't know. Get creative. It's snowing again out today. Go sledding 6 feet apart from your friend. What can we do, though, in all seriousness? What can we do to get creative and find new ways of having fun, right? That's what this is about. It's about getting back to our roots and getting back to what we enjoy, and that's having fun in recovery and learning to live a full, meaningful, purposeful life again. And I think there are moments we lose hope that, oh my gosh, how are we ever going to live a full, purposeful life again when all of this isolation is going on, But this is where I'm challenging you guys to get creative today. Get a little creative and start focusing on fun, any kind of healthy fun that you guys can have, and just putting the news and everything on hold for a little while. The news coverage seems like it's a constant 24/7 thing, so it's not going to go away if you miss a couple hours of it. It'll still be there when you get back if that's what you choose. But yeah, I'm encouraging you guys just to take some time for yourselves today. Understanding that we've all got to learn a little bit every day to let go of control a little bit more, let go of all the things that I have no power over right now, and to just focus on me. What can I do for myself today? For those of you who are in recovery, what can you do for yourselves today? And if you're feeling like, I don't know what to do for my recovery today, I'm going to lose my mind, or I'm panicking, or I'm lonely. If you are having those feelings, can you reach out today? That's doing something for your recovery, right? We're here. I will continue to tell you guys this every day. We are here and you are not alone. You can reach out and message Recovery Facebook. We do have peers that are still available. I'm one of those peers myself, and we have a few other amazing peers too. So if you're out there and you're looking to connect with someone else who's, at this point, we're all kind of on that same playing field of, being told we're all supposed to stay inside at this point. But, we have people who have been through what you've been through in your past, and they can talk to you and they can walk with you. And if all they can ever do is be on the other end of a phone line for you as just a resource and just a friend, then, we can do that too. We want to connect with you guys. I really want to hear from you guys. Terry says, dwell in possibility. That's right. We've all talked about so much about, what we focus on is what we manifest, and it magnifies it, right? So if I'm dwelling in all the negativity, if I'm dwelling in the negative news, if I'm dwelling in the boredom, what's going to happen, So let's all dwell in possibility today. Kelly says, still working on my impulsivity. Me too, right? That's okay. We're still working on it. The point is that we're working on it, right? We're all a work in progress, every single one of us. None of us ever stop progressing and growing. So, yeah, still working on that too, Kelly. Karen Bloss says, I really needed to hear this today. Thanks. And, you're welcome. I don't want to take credit for this. The reading is not my words. This is from Tasha Silver. And, again, if anyone is looking for that specific book information, you can message us and we'll put that information out there for you guys. But, again, just being able to relate to at least one thing in the reading, then that's all I can ask for. Kelly FaceTimed my neighbor this morning and had coffee. That's awesome. I like that. Not sure about you guys, but I'm a coffee drinker, and one thing I would be doing if none of this was going on, one of the things I like to do, like I love to go to like little coffee shops in Rochester. It's I don't know, it just makes me happy. It's like the environment, the calmness. I can put my phone down for a little while, and either I can put headphones in and read or draw, or I can go meet my friend for coffee. Like I love being able to do that, and that's one of the simple pleasures that I really miss. But dwelling in possibility and optimism, can I work around that? Can I FaceTime my neighbor? Can I FaceTime my best friend, my boss, my mom? You guys are all watching this right now, so we all have access to some sort of technology and connection with each other through a computer or a cell phone or whatever it is. So for those of us that are blessed enough to have that connection, can you FaceTime somebody and have coffee with them? Can you do that in the morning? Do you guys have morning readings that you like to do? Can you get on FaceTime with a friend while you have your coffee and share morning readings with each other? I don't know. Those are just those simple little life pleasures that we can find, right? We can get creative. Kara says, look at the bright side. You can wear sweatpants and hoodies all day. Oh, wait, we already do that. Yes, we do. We are living in sweatpants and hoodies right now, and while it is comfortable, we did talk about yesterday about maintaining some normalcy too, and I so very nicely reminded us all to go take a shower. I think that's important to remember that too. Before I leave you guys today, I have been back to sharing from Outrageous Openness, and I will continue to share readings. But this was one of my daily readings today, and it was glaringly obvious to me as I was reading that out loud this morning that I need to share this. And it's a strong internal feeling that I have to be able to share that with you guys. So again, anything that is in here that you're not resonating with, that's okay. It doesn't have to mean the same thing to you that it means to me or anybody else. But just keeping that open mind. And again, if we can all really just try and listen for the message that's in here, it's really important. So March 23rd, this first quote is from S.H. On occasion, I realize it's easier to say the Serenity Prayer and take that leap of faith than it is to continue doing what I'm doing. The pain of change is a reality, but so is the pain of no change when change is called for. In spite of our desires, changing others will never be an option, whereas changing ourselves takes only a decision and is a choice always available. We can take an inventory for a moment. What are we presently doing that makes us ashamed or angry or fearful? We can let go of that behavior and responsibly choose a new tack. If strength is needed, or confidence to try a new behavior, we can simply ask that it be ours. This next part is a reference to something in a 12-step community. Again, if that's not something that works for you, that's okay. I support any of those pathways that you guys choose. This reading just happened to be from that particular program. But for anyone that does use that, it does say the third step promises that our lives are in God's care and our needs are always being attended to. Not always our wants, but in every instance, our needs. And I just love that piece too, thank goodness that, life and the universe gives me things that I need and not what I want. I think we talked about that the other day. If I was granted every little thing that I sit here and wish for and I want, that can get dangerous and that can get greedy real quick. But if I'm trusting that I'm going to be taken care of, and if I'm trusting that things are going to be okay, my needs will always be attended to. I love that. Most of our struggles, today as in the past, are attached to persons and situations we are trying to forcibly control. How righteous our attitudes generally are. And so imposing is our behavior that we are met with resistance, painful resistance. Our recourse is now and always to accept those things we cannot change and willingly change that which we can. Our personal struggles will end when we are fully committed to the Serenity Prayer. So at the bottom it says, the wisdom to know the difference is mine today. And, what I really take away from that is, once again, really paying attention to all the things that I don't have control over. And more so focusing on the things that I do have control over. Can I put my energy into that? I love that first line. The pain of change is a reality, change is painful. It's uncomfortable for a lot of us that are very routine and regimented, and when something new comes into our lives, it feels like it disrupts all of that, right? It's like this earthquake of pain and emotion sometimes. So now for all of us, we've all been given the same change and the same challenge, and it's really uncomfortable. That's kind of inevitable. But when change is called for, when we are called to action to make a change and take an action in our lives, and when we don't take that, there's pain in that too. There's pain in us just sitting around in our homes and not doing anything. There's pain when we're just laying in bed and sitting in those really uncomfortable feelings. So can we get up and can we take action and can we get creative today, guys? I also love that idea of we can take an inventory for a moment. What are we presently doing that makes us ashamed or angry or fearful, right? So for me, when those emotions come in, I can feel them, I can label them, and I can be aware of them. I notice very much lately when I'm getting fearful because it's making me anxious and uncomfortable internally. So I can label that, but I like the idea of taking that one step further and asking myself, what am I presently doing that's making me feel this way? The reason I'm feeling so fearful right now is because I'm letting everything consume me, and I'm constantly talking about the same problems over and over again and going in circles and watching the news, and it's too much. But I can look at that and say, oh, those are the behaviors that I'm doing that's making me feel this way. Taking that inventory. If you're feeling ashamed or angry or frustrated or even happy, joyful, what are the behaviors you're doing that are causing that result of that emotion? So it's really just important to check in with ourselves, right? That self-care is really important. Not just so much about making sure we're showered and that we've eaten for the day and that we've reached out to at least one person. It goes beyond that. Check in with your feelings for today. Are there uncomfortable feelings that you haven't dealt with today or that you've pushed aside? So again, those are just quotes from one particular book that I'm reading, but again, just keeping an open mind that, if you guys are doing something that works for you, that's great. Hang on to that. If you guys are finding, different meetings or different sources of love out there, different sources of guidance, if those things are working for you, then that is great. It's whatever works, right? Whatever works to get us through these times is what it's really about. It's really important. So I just hope that we can all continue to stay connected. I'm asking you guys to get creative, get fun today. Still snowing, so sledding may be an option in the backyard. Can you get out there safely and responsibly, but find a little fun in your daily life and in the mundane right now, as we're at the start of week 2. Please reach out if any of you guys are feeling alone again or interested in peer services. But let's all try and stay hopeful and positive. Again, I know it's a challenge, but I'm asking you guys to challenge yourselves a little bit. Push yourself just a little bit. Push outside of that comfort zone just a tiny bit. That's where we grow, is outside of that comfort zone, and that's how we get through this thing. So please reach out. We're here for you guys. I hope that you guys can tune in. I'm going to wrap it up here. I did apologize. I did start a little bit late today, but that's all right. Better late than never. We do have another virtual video in about 10 minutes or so. So I'm going to give you guys a 10-minute break. Hoping you can check back in and join us back at 3 o'clock. Lisa's got a nice little at-home workout for you to get you up, get you moving, right? That's another one of those important components too. Ask yourself, did you get up and do any kind of physical activity today? Even if it's go for a walk outside by yourself for 10 minutes, take the dog for a walk, something. We actually had one of our staff come up with some quarantine questions. It's more just a self-check-in, and we did post those to our wall. So go back and check those out. Check in with yourselves today and check in with us. If you guys need anything, we are here. And I will see you guys back here tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And thanks for joining in today. Take it easy, guys.